Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL and the Chiefs were eliminated from playoff contention this past weekend, which means it's probably a good time to start rebuilding this team. The Chiefs have been dominant over the past, well, really all of Patrick Mahomes' career. Was it 7 straight AFC Championship appearances? This is a team that has just been, like I said, dominant. But eventually, the wheels start to fall off. Your depth starts to become an issue, especially when you're picking as high as they have picked. They have been picking either what, 30th, 31st, 32nd in the draft for almost a decade. It gets really tough to do that consistently. It gets really tough to do that and just not be able to, have the best shot to get some better players, right? I'm sure there's plenty of players that have been good elsewhere the Chiefs would have loved to have drafted, but that's hard to do when you're picking 30, 31st, 32nd in the draft. Well, they won't have to worry about that this year. They're going to have a nice middle of the draft pick. And, this might be actually a good thing for the Chiefs, I think, in the long run to set up the next run of this Chiefs Patrick Mahomes dynasty. People say, well, the dynasty's done. It's dead. It's over. This current run might be over. Yes, this current run for the Chiefs is probably over. This Chiefs team where your faces of the franchise are Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. That is probably done. That is probably over. But is it going to be over for the next 10 years? No. This is probably going to be, I think, for the Chiefs, I think in real life, I don't think next year, but I think, really 2027 and on. I think this is a team that has a very good chance to get things back corrected and get back to being that dominant team that we've seen. And we're going to do that here in this video. And taking a look at this Chiefs roster, you would think in Madden, it's probably really good. This is probably a really good team to play with in Madden. In real life, Rashee Rice, he kind of looks like a guy out there, honestly. I can't believe he's 6 foot. He looks small out there. And, I feel like Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, those are two guys who I just feel like you want more from both of those guys. I feel like, you know what I mean? You're just not getting what you want. Marquise Brown has been a guy, and that's really been the receiver room. I think, some of it is maybe it's been Mahomes, potentially. I think maybe the play calling hasn't been as good, but I just feel like the receiving talent hasn't been very good. Running back room, it's been okay-ish this year. It just feels like you're just not getting production out of your playmakers. And number one on that has been Travis Kelce, who's still a 90 overall here in Madden. He has not been good. I feel like the past 2 years. I feel like the past 2 years, you've just seen slow, lackadaisical, just kind of like his head's in the game some weeks, it feels like. He has a lot of other things he's focused on for the rest of his life, post-playing career, to the point where it's like, you don't want to be rude about it, but it is kind of like, hey, why are you here? You know what I mean? Why are you... They have Kingsley Suamaeda. I hope I said that right. Looks like he's potentially developing to a decent player for him. Josh Simmons is also injured, so that's been an issue for this team, where just at left tackle, they've dealt with just constant injuries, it feels like, along the offensive line the past few years, and that's been tough for them. Now, we come over here, and Chris Jones is still good, but I feel like Chris Jones isn't as good as you would have, as he was a few years ago. Which, he's 31, he's got a lot of miles. It makes sense for him not to be as good as he was a few years ago, right? Like, that totally makes sense. This team's aging. A lot of the core components are aging. And when that happens, you're going to be in a tough spot, I feel like. And that's when you start having to draft replacements. Well, you haven't really been in position to go out here and draft those guys. I'm sure maybe there's been some other defensive linemen that the Chiefs have wanted to draft. They haven't been in position to get them because they're picking at the end of every round. That's not going to be the case in this draft, so that's one of the most important things, too, for us. George Karlaftis, I believe he got a contract extension. I don't know if it's actually in the game. We'll take a look. And it is in the game. And that jumps to $15.5 million basically next year, in the next 2 years, and $23 and $25 million. We take a look at the season stats, and in real life, I mean, just if we're being honest, this probably isn't the production you want out of a guy that you're paying all that money to. 6 sacks on the year. I'm sure, I don't know what the pressure numbers actually are in real life, but you're paying a lot of money for a guy who feels like you're not getting that sort of production that you'd want. Trent McDuffie is awesome, but the rest of this corner room probably could use some work. Safety room could probably use some work. You're probably going to be without some of these guys here. Leo Chanel, is he going to be with us much longer? Are we going to have to pay him soon? This is the fun part of, being the Chiefs, is we're going to have to pay him. We're going to have to pay Leo Chanel. I think he's very important to this defense, along with Nick Bolton. This is, I think these two guys are still super young and are still can be key pieces of that next run. And yes, Bolton, he has a pretty hefty contract kicking in the next 2 seasons after this one. But for the Chiefs, this season's over. This is done. And yeah, so we're going to simulate to the offseason because the Chiefs are not going to make the playoffs. I did force win or force loss this game. So the Chiefs don't have to worry about that. And we should be out of the playoffs with a loss here. So let's get into the rebuild. So the Lions end up making the playoffs. They beat the Bills in the Super Bowl 21-17. But the Chiefs, of course, did not make the playoffs. They end up finishing a 6-11. So they end up losing out there. And, I don't think that's too far off from what some people expect. I mean, just you lose Patrick Mahomes. You're barely winning with Patrick Mahomes, but the games that you did win, you won because of Patrick Mahomes, right? You won those games because he was able to do. He might not have played well during the first half of the game, but he would eventually do some Patrick Mahomes things and turn it on. And so that's kind of, what you're losing with a guy like Patrick Mahomes not being there. We are in a position, though, here to see where we're picking. We have a top 10 pick. And, that's one of the things I feel like people are kind of forgetting about the Chiefs, like missing. Everyone's excited about them missing the playoffs. Well, they now have an opportunity to pick in the top half of the draft, potentially, for the first time in a long time, right? They haven't picked this high in the draft in years. They haven't done it. It's not something that they've been able to do. So, honestly, you're the Chiefs. This is kind of like a blessing in disguise, if I'm being honest, right? You get to pick in the first half of the draft. You're going to have all sorts of elite talent at your fingertips that you're going to be able to draft, that you're going to be able to bring in, and that you didn't have access to before, right? Before, you'd have to, see all the top receivers come off the board. You'd have to maybe draft guys purely based on maybe more of their athletic profiles. Like, well, this guy projects as a good athlete and things like that, right? So you're now in a position where you can draft, some of the best players at their positions in every round of the draft if you're the Chiefs. So that's one of the positives of, having this down year. We're going to go take a look here at some retirements here. We're going to see if Travis Kelce retired. Do we have any Chiefs retirements? And Travis Kelce does retire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire retires, and Deion Bush retires. But we still have some other moves that we're going to have to make with this team to kind of get things right. So we are here in the re-signing bit of this offseason, and if we're being honest, there's probably really only one player that you probably really need to re-sign here if you're the Chiefs. Everyone else, it's time to start letting some of these holdovers go, right? It's time to start letting some of these guys go elsewhere, right? In real life, you would do this because you would let these guys go on and get signed elsewhere so you can get compensatory picks and things like that. Madden doesn't have compensatory picks. I wish they would. That's something I think I would like to see added, but that's not a thing here. And so Leo Chanel, this is a guy that we do want to bring back. I think he is a very important part here of this Chiefs defense. Bring him back, and 5-year deal. We have him for his entire prime. We had to restructure Patrick Mahomes' contract to do this, but everyone else, I think we're probably just going to let walk, if I'm being honest. A safety here, Brian Cook. We can just barely bring him back. We just have enough money to bring him back for the next 3 years. And that's going to be it, right? So you restructure Mahomes' deal, you kick some money down the road, and everyone else is basically told, smell you later, right? I mean, you're just not going to bring a lot of these guys back. It's time to start replacing these guys with younger players. Bring back the punter just because I don't feel like having to play games with having to keep a punter around. So that's all the money. That is all the money that we have right there. Philip Rivers gets cut, but that's going to do it right there. And we are going to advance in here to the offseason portion. We're not going to do anything in free agency. We just, again, like I said, this team doesn't have the money to do that, right? We don't have money to go out here and get some free agents and things like that. You have, $400,000 in free agent money. Can't do that. What we can do is begin to start trading players away. And some of these guys who are going to have to get traded, one of them is going to have to be Chris Jones, 32 years old. That's just going to have to happen. I mean, there's no other way around it. And again, we could go out here and do one of these like cool, fun trades. But I feel like, again, not every trade I do in these rebuilds is super realistic, but I don't want to have one that's like totally off the wall. You know what I mean? I don't want to do one where it's like, well, that would certainly never happen, right? I don't want to do something like that, but we look around here, where can we send Chris Jones, right? Because this is us basically saying, you know what? We have to maybe take a step back for a year, and we're going to send you somewhere else. And, this is a Chiefs team that could use a running back. Now, Rico Dowdle, that could be interesting. The issue with that, though, is they are only offering some picks in 2027. We do not want 2027 picks. I want some 2026 picks. And Rico Dowdle, that could be a new starting running back for us. I do not want your 2027 pick. I would like your 2026 pick. Do you have a You do have a 2026 pick. Why don't you give me that instead, friend? And we'll keep it at this, right? You give us a running back. We get a new running back in here. We do need an extra running back after letting Isaiah Pacheco walk. So Rico Dowdle, are you willing to make? They are willing to make this pay. Chris Jones heads to Carolina in exchange for a 2026 second round pick, a 2027 fifth, a 2027 seventh, and Rico Dowdle. So we get a new starting running back. We send Chris Jones on his way. We do open up some cap room with that trade as well. We can take a look around here, see if there's anyone else. Drew Tranquil, 31 years old. He only has 1 year left on his deal. Weak inside linebacker. I don't know how much value he would exactly have. If I'm being honest. But we'll take a look around. The Packers are interested. Christian Watson. Maybe they view, they just had a bad playoff run potentially. Maybe they, Christian Watson, he can't stay healthy, right? Christian Watson can't stay healthy with us, and we don't really want him anymore. Can we just get something for him? Can we get a player that can help our defense, right? This is just me world building it, but we are going to make this trade. I will take Christian Watson. We'll get an extra receiver in here, and you know what? I like that move, right? We get a third receiver. Do we need another receiver now, right? Are we good at receiver to where, you know what? Maybe we don't need to go out and find another one, right? Maybe we can show up in the draft and potentially just take maybe if an edge player falls to us, right? Maybe that's something we can do. But we look through here, and there's really no other trades I think we need to make. We have a lot of picks, though, in the top 150 of the draft, which I think gives us a great chance to go out there and potentially nab some really nice players in the draft process. But in terms of free agency, I don't think we're going to do anything. We have $11 million. We can go take a look. We don't need kicker. Potentially another corner would always be nice, but you just kind of, I don't really see anyone that I think we could afford. That's just not going to be something we're going to be able to do. Rasul Douglas, that could be interesting. Kind of just a 1-year deal. We'll see if he's interested in it. That will be like our one free agent signing will be Rasul Douglas, just to bring in an extra corner. And Rasul Douglas does sign with Kansas City. So that's actually legitimately the only free agent trade that we could actually, or free agent sign that we can make, because we have $800,000 left. So on to the draft. Okay, so we are moving up in the draft from pick number 11 all the way to pick 3. We traded 2 ones, our 2026 one and our 2027 one. I just kind of was prodding to see if they would take this deal. They took it right away, so we move all the way up to 3. Now, what is that going to allow us to do? Well, it puts us really smack dab in the middle of potentially getting one of the premier players of this draft class. Currently, the mock drafts are broken. I can't see mock number 4 or 5, but we can see mock number 3. And that was slated to be Peter Woods, defensive tackle. And we would have a shot at Caleb Downs. We'd have a shot at Ruben Bain Jr. We'd have a shot at really whoever we want. We have a shot at 3 in the draft. And that's kind of why I decided to do it. I felt like we were just a little too far back to make that pick. And apparently the Saints, they don't value being at 3, and they were willing to take an additional 1 for next year's draft. So that's kind of why I decided to do that. We didn't have to give up any of our second round picks. And the Giants, they take a quarterback. So maybe Jackson Dart, the concussion issues are a little bit too much for them to want to deal with. And the Browns, they take TJ Parker. So we have a pick of the litter here of what we want to do. We are going to make this selection. We're going to stick and pick. And there are top 5 players on the board here. We can take Ruben Bain Jr. Ruben Bain Jr. We can go out and get Caleb Downs. We can get Jordan Tyson, or we can take Peter Woods. We did just trade away Chris Jones, and getting a new defensive tackle in here to kind of replace Chris Jones. Don't know if he'll be as good as Chris Jones, but you get a shot to replace him with some new blood here, which I think is what the Chiefs actually need to do. And Chris Jones, number 4 in true value, or Peter Woods, number 4 in true value. We drafted him at 3. First time I've been able to draft him in any of these rebuilds. He's kind of always gone by the time we pick. So there we go. We get Peter Woods and new big man in town for this Kansas City team. So we are going to skip ahead to the next user pick here, and looking around, kind of seeing we do pick early in the second round, and some receivers just went off the board. And again, there's other positions that this team, I think really needs to focus on. And one of those positions is going to be tight end. And Travis Kelce just retired. It's time to replace him with some new blood, and that is going to be Kenyon Sadiq. And very impressive player out of Oregon. I feel like he's a little understated in this draft class. I feel like he's a guy, the more you watch Oregon, the more it's like, okay, this guy looks pretty legit. More of a receiving threat than I think traditional tight end stuff. But either way, really good player. We're going to advance to our next user pick as well, which is not too far away. We are going to make a selection here as well. Again, there's still some players here on the board that I am very interested in, and particularly edge. Got to get some more edge production, this team does. And we take a look around here, see who's on the board, and there's still some high quality edge rushers here. And we're looking around here. LT Overton out of Alabama. The block shedding looks good. Play rec looks good. Take a look here at the right edge position. And Cassius Howell looks pretty good too, actually. We take a quick look here. The finesse moves are good. Great. Poor strength, though. But elite everything else. Kind of interesting right there. Joshua Josephs also looks not bad either. Take a see what his physicals are. It looks kind of more just all around here. Kind of, it's kind of tough right here, right? This is kind of, I think, a tough pick. Any linebackers still on the board? No one that I particularly want. Harold Perkins is here, actually. A to C zone coverage. Looks pretty good here. We did just trade a weak inside linebacker away, and we're going to go with Harold Perkins. And he does have hidden dev, 92 speed, change of direction, all this stuff looks good. We'll find out what his actual other stuff is, particularly the coverage skills that I'm somewhat interested in. But we'll take Harold Perkins right there. A little too iffy on those other edge rushers, and we're going to hope that maybe one of them is still there in the 3rd round. We do pick somewhat early in there. Josephs just goes off the board before we can come back around and maybe potentially take him, but there's still some other edge rushers here. Take a look around again. Any receivers that we still want in the draft? There are some in here, and, you know, we did just bring in Christian Watson, but again, these guys could potentially be free agents, so do have Kevin Coleman right there. Chris Bell did tear his ACL in real life. You know, very unfortunate, because I believe he was starting, from what I've saw, he was starting to kind of move up in some people's mock drafts, was starting to kind of become a guy that some people thought could have been a, you know, early, you know, potentially a early day 2 pick in the 2nd round. Potentially even a, you know, some people were saying this guy could have been potentially a 1st round pick, but we are going to take Tyreek Sapp here out of Florida, edge rusher. A little bit of a reach, it says, but, you know, just want to get some other edge talent in there just to see if we can develop them into a actual player. Look through here, kind of just going to see what this draft brings us. Maybe Chris Bell is still on the board. I haven't seen him taken yet here, at least not at the start of round number 4. And he is still on the board. So we are just going to take Chris Bell right here. I believe I've taken him before in a rebuild, and he did turn out okay. But we'll have to wait and see when we actually get in there. B, medium route running. Catching is an F, but I think that's just relative to the entire draft class. He might actually just have decent catching. You always got to remember these ratings, things like that, those are relative to the class, not necessarily what their actual thing is. So take a look around here, see what we got, and, you know, looking around here, Dominique Orange, I love that guy's name, just because it's orange. So we look around here, 5th round, and at this point, you know, it's kind of like, you know, whatever on what you take. You know, I would take potentially, actually, this guy, we did look at him, or this guy I noticed. I thought his skill ratings actually looked okay, just because of the block shedding and the play rec. We're going to take a shot here on Damon Payne, 5th round. Why not? Maybe we had a higher grade. 240, not very good. So that was not a very good pick. We're going to advance to the end of the draft here, see what... I've been talking for a full 8 minutes. I went through the entire draft with you. But we take a look here, see what we have, kind of go see what our draft recap is looking like right now, and just to kind of see how we did. Peter Woods, 79 overall. Kenyon Sadiq, 73. Harold Perkins, 72 overall. Tyreek Sapp, a 70. Chris Bell, a 70. Damon Payne, 66 overall. That doesn't appear to be too bad. Block shedding, 73. Play rec is 72. I mean, that could develop into a player for us down the road. So, not a bad pick. Harold Perkins. Let's go take a look and see what those coverage ratings are. And 65 zone coverage. So, honestly, that's something to work with, honestly. So, pretty fine with that pick. 75 play rec as well. Looks like a really good athlete for us. So, get some more athleticism on this team. And Tyreek Sapp. Only a normal dev. And 84 strength, 82 speed, finesse moves at 65. So not the best, but again, we kind of passed on other edge rushers, so we could take, you know, Harold Perkins, so we could take Kenyon Sadiq. You know, that's kind of where we decided to go with. I feel like his speed should be a little bit higher, honestly. I don't think Kenyon Sadiq is that slow at a 79, but, you know, Peter Woods, that is the prize of this draft class here. Kansas City. I had to go out here and take them just because, again, when are the Chiefs likely going to be picking this high again to take a guy like Peter Woods? Probably not for a very long time, so kind of had to do it. Okay, so this is going to be the team for year number 1. It's not really that different from the Chiefs' current roster, except no more Travis Kelce. We have Kenyon Sadiq. And we have Rico Dowdle, so I think it is a bit of an upgrade at running back, actually. Receiver room is mostly the same, outside of the addition of Christian Watson and Christopher Bell. Again, I don't have the actual ACL injury in here because they haven't done that update yet for the game, I don't believe. Or at least not when I started up this franchise. Defense is where things look a little bit different. You do add in Rasul Douglas. You keep Leo Chanel, Bolton, but then you have Harold Perkins Jr. here and Peter Woods, who is kind of the new man in the middle right here of this defensive line unit. Edge, I wish I could have went out here and got in another edge opposite of Leo Chanel, but you can't do that all the time. So this is the team. I think it's still good. I mean, this is kind of a weird situation to be rebuilding a team that is technically still good. Quarterback all figured out. It's just kind of figuring out some of the other things here. I feel like in the sim, you don't see the Chiefs do all that well, but we're going to see how they do here. I'll see you at the midseason mark, and we'll do a check-in with the Chiefs, see if they're still struggling like how they've struggled the past, this past season. Or is that just kind of a real-life thing that doesn't really come over to Madden? Is this all for naught? We'll see. Mid-season mark, and the Chiefs are back. Chiefs Kingdom is back. What do you know? Took a 1-year break, and you're back. 6-1 here at the mid-season mark, coming off a loss to the Rams. And I don't know, guys. I feel like people are digging dirt on the Chiefs a little too soon, if I'm being honest. I don't personally understand it. I think it's a bit premature to be doing that. I think that's a front office that in real life has shown that I think that they can pivot and things like that. But I think now you just give them an opportunity to really pick in the front end of the draft. I really do think it's a really good opportunity for them. Scouting national focus. Let's get this done before they set it to quarterback. It's always set to quarterback no matter what. Gonna look for some more corners. I think that's kind of the idea here if you're the Chiefs. We don't have a first round pick. We did, to trade up to get Peter Woods. But I think that's a trade that we would make again. Actually, we're going to go take a look here. Peter Woods developing pretty nicely so far. For these rebuilds, I'm going to try to stay true to just picking what the scheme fit is for these players, plus replay rec and plus one to those 2 other things. At least when I do upgrades, I will try to stay pretty true to just keeping it at the their scheme fit. I'm not sure why that I was drawing a blank right there, but gonna try to do that. Again, it's a little tough because at receiver seems like no matter what, they always end up not. Playmaker seems to have its hand in too many other upgrade paths, archetypes, so it kind of just, for whatever reason, you'll upgrade playmaker and then another one will kind of become their archetype for some reason. But Kenyon Sadiq gonna get another upgrade right there. He is a star dev player. And we are Tariq Sapp going to get an upgrade point here. Maybe hope he can develop into something. I don't know if he will, but it would be nice if we could maybe find a little diamond in the rough right there. He seems like a pretty good athlete, so hopefully he can play well for us. We have Chris Bell. I doubt he's getting much run just because of the receivers playing ahead of him. And the way Madden Sim Engine works is that receivers that are lower than 2 or 3 on the depth chart just kind of don't get a lot of run, if we're being honest. I think that's just kind of how it is. They just don't get anything thrown their way. So I think that does need to be changed with the sim engine. I did mention that in a wishlist video that I just did. So go watch that on the channel as well. Gonna auto upgrade the rest of these. And then we're going to take a look here at these stats and awards. And Patrick Mahomes having a pretty good season. 16 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Almost 2,000 yards on the season. Rico Dowdle playing pretty well for us as well. We are using the Rams playbook because I figure we'd use that playbook. Because head coach is Mike LaFleur, which is Matt LaFleur's brother. So, Rashee Rice, 9 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy, 2, Christian Watson with 3. Kenyon Sadiq does not have a touchdown just yet. Rico Dowdle with 2 receiving touchdowns as well. We see a pretty good distribution for the most part. You would like to see, again, I would like to see other receivers kind of get a couple things thrown their way. I think that should be something the game does. But we'll take a look here at our defense. And Peter Woods, what a pick that's been. 11.5 sacks. You'll give up a late first-round pick in the following year if you're the Chiefs, if you could potentially move up and say, hey, you could trade Chris Jones and then go out and get a guy who, you know, you could go out and get another top player in the draft, and we were able to do that. So Harold Perkins playing pretty well as well, and George Karlaftis, 2.5 sacks, kind of just not getting the production that you would hope you'd get out of a higher end edge player. And so far, only 3 interceptions on the season, but one of them is by Rasul Douglas. So that's kind of why we brought him in, to kind of just be a solid vet for this defense. And it was cheap too. So we should be well on our way to making the playoffs. We are in a hot battle for top of the AFC West with the Denver Broncos. You see the Browns leading the way, 5-1, so maybe Shadur Sanders is working out for them. But I'll see at the end of the season, see where we are. Hopefully it's the playoffs. So we did not really finish the season strong. Only 10-7. We were looking pretty good there. We were right in the thick of things, but it seems like just down the stretch, this team did not keep it together. I'll take a look here, but yeah, we came in, we had the one loss to the Rams, then we lost to the Seahawks, did beat the Broncos, and then lost to the 49ers, beat the Bills, and then kind of just a little 2-game, kind of this final stretch here, honestly, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last 7 games of the season, not really good. You see 4 losses in there. Not ideal, honestly. Only going 3-4 to close out the season. So a couple 1-possession games, kind of got routed a little bit here by the Broncos, but 10-point loss to the Falcons. Really should have beat the Falcons. Should beat the Chargers, and then just got throttled by the Colts here to close out the season. And that is who we're playing in this playoff game in the wild card. But we do have some upgrades to get to. And Harold Perkins has 10 upgrades. I have no idea why he has so many upgrades. Actually, I can go check that real quick. We can go and look at his progression history and just kind of see why he has so many upgrades. He had to have did some sort of milestone Pro Bowl appearance, so that could have been it. There had to have been some sort of milestone, or he just player award. We got some milestone goals, 10 sacks in a season, 100 tackles in a season. So things like that will give you those big kind of, you just get kind of, they just rain upgrade points, skill points onto you for these guys. So I'll happily take them, but we are going to put them strictly into pass coverage for Harold Perkins. Really good pick, though, because it seems like he's playing really well for us. So, we did trade, Drew Tranquill, but I think we ended up making the right trade. Again, getting younger, getting faster, getting more athletic, and potentially Perkins here has a chance to be a better player than Drew Tranquill ever was. So, I'm happy with that. We'll go take a look at the stats after I get done hitting X here a bunch of times. Just want to go through all of these upgrades so we can kind of see it together as a family. I'm just messing with you. But he is getting some good upgrades here, honestly. So he's going to be up to an 84 overall here to close out the season. Plus 2 morale puts him at an 86. And yeah, pretty good stuff here. Those coverage ratings up to an 80. Pretty good stuff right there for him. And pretty good stuff, honestly. Kenyon Sadiq is going to finish with a couple more upgrades here. We'll go see if he finally got that first career touchdown or not. Plus 4 deep route running on that upgrade. Take a look here, see what we got. And plus 2 deep route, plus 3 medium route, and plus 3 spec. And one more upgrade for him here. And we are going to get a plus 3 catching, plus 2 medium route, and plus 1 pass block and spec catch as well. Gonna end the season a 79 overall. And Again, everything's getting way better. Hope it can get even more better. Go take a look here at Peter Woods. That's a little more important, I think. And can we get him to be a scheme fit here with one of these Final 2 upgrades? We do. +1 awareness and block shedding. We'll see if it takes him back down. Nope, gonna stay a scheme fit. And that is going to get him up to an 84 overall. Okay upgrade, nothing too crazy. I figured he'd be the one with the big upgrade points just because it looked like he was really leading the way with a lot of sacks when we were kind of checking things out earlier. But we'll go take a look here. We did our midseason mark. Patrick Mahomes, 39 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. We'll see how did Rico Dowdle do. 873 yards rushing. So that's pretty good right there. 10 touchdowns on the season. We'll take a look here. Rashee Rice, 1,600 yards. Christian Watson, 5 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy, 3 touchdowns. Kenyon Sadiq ended up getting 6. So for the midseason mark on, he really turned it on, at least with production in terms of touchdowns. Go take a look here at this defense real quick. And Peter Woods ends with 19 sacks in his rookie season. So I'm a little surprised he doesn't have more upgrade points, honestly. But George Karlaftis, 5.5. So he turned it up a little bit. I wonder if they have Harold Perkins in as one of our edge guys. I'll definitely go check that out. But we got some more interceptions as we went throughout the season as well. Perkins and Bolton each getting 1. And then 3 for Rasul Douglas, which I do like to see. We're going to take a look here at this adjust lineup real quick, and then we'll get into this playoff game. But I'm fascinated to see if they do have, before I change this, specialist. Do they have him? They do have him as one of our... What is going on here? This is very odd. I did not check this before. Let's re-rack this, and that would explain why... That would explain why George Karlaftis did not have a lot of edge production. We have to go into depth chart to do this. I was wondering why he didn't have any. Well, that's why he wasn't really set as one of our rush right ends. As one of our rush ends. A little weird. I mean, technically Perkins is playing fine in that role. I actually don't hate it, but a little small at 222 pounds. I don't think that'll actually work for him, if I'm being entirely honest. But rush right ends, we could just leave one of those guys, but we'll put Sapp in there as well, and then this guy will go here as well. So not sure what that'll do, but that's what it's going to do. So playoff game versus the Indianapolis Colts. We're going to simulate this. We're going to just kind of see if they can get a win. Can we beat the Colts in the playoffs? They just thumped us a week earlier, and we do beat them 42-28. Pretty nice win right there. We'll do the weekly strategy. Just kind of full pads because I'm not playing the games. I feel like you should just do full pads anyways, just to get that full wear and tear experience in the game, as opposed to, because the CPU does it. The CPU just has everyone going full pads. So you might as well follow what the CPU does. More upgrades. And we're just going to auto upgrade all these guys. And we're taking on the Broncos here. 10-7 versus 14-3. Technically, we are better than them. 91 overall offense, 89 overall as a whole, but they have a slightly better defense than us. So, let's see what happens. Can we beat the Broncos? Can we beat the Broncos? We do not beat the Broncos. We lose on a field goal, 34-31. And the Chiefs fall. So, gonna have to reset, reload. More upgrades here for Peter Woods. I'll take it. And, gonna have to reset, reload, and get ready to go back at it. But from missing the playoffs to getting back in, and I did not meant to hit that. I don't know why these inputs are so slow in these menus, but they are. But thanks, EA. We have lag in the menus. There's lag in the menus. There is lag in the menus, people. What the hell's going on here? I'll see you for the offseason. So, Peter Woods was Defensive Rookie of the Year. Numbers like that, I'm not too surprised. So that ends up getting him a dev trade upgrade up to Superstar. So that should help us a lot moving forward, if I'm being honest. And, you always like seeing those dev trade upgrades because it feels like sometimes you don't get them. I feel like sometimes we've been kind of screwed over. Rashee Rice also going to get a dev trade upgrade as well. Just from, I guess, being, well, the receptions leader, wide receiver of the year, and the offensive player of the year. Rashee Rice kind of coming on strong here, I guess. Kind of becoming the player that everyone thought he could have been when he came out of college. I like seeing that, even though I was kind of dissimilar. I actually even thought about trading him, if I'm being honest. I even thought about potentially trading Rashee Rice. Glad I didn't. And just going to do all of these upgrades here. So no retirements for us, but we do have to start looking at some re-signings here. Broncos lose in the Super Bowl to the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers get some revenge on the Broncos in the Super Bowl, and we see a division foe lose in the Super Bowl, which we always like to see. We have $55 million in cap. You like seeing that. We have a lot of guys that we are going to have to re-sign, particularly some receivers. And truthfully, these few guys that we're going to re-sign, these might be, honestly, those are the three guys that I think are super important for us. Trent McDuffie, obviously, you want to re-sign that guy, and we're going to make an offer here, and he does like it. So that leaves us with $27 million in cap. Who takes priority? And that's going to be Rashee Rice. And he just has to take priority over Xavier Worthy and even Christian Watson. Xavier Worthy, that's an option, though. So we do accept that option. Christian Watson, not going to be back. But we do have Chris Bell, and so that's kind of right there. So take a look here. We are going to lose a safety in Chamari Connor. We're going to lose an extra edge player. We are going to lose a tackle in Jawan Taylor. We're going to lose Rasul Douglas. Christian Fulton's going to be gone. Felix, I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce that. Wanya Norris, and Jalen Moore, all going to be gone. So we are going to have to find some more tackles. Again, we're going to have to go in here, because what you got to do, especially when you're the Chiefs, we are going to have to potentially move some money around. Creed Humphreys could do that. Can go in here, move some of that around. We can restructure Trent McDuffie a little bit, move some more money around. Trey Smith. We can move some money around. Patrick Mahomes. We can move some more money around. This is life of an NFL team, honestly. This is what teams in real life have to do. You have to just restructure, kick money down the road. And again, I would like to bring Christian Watson back, but we just can't do it. So we are going to go into free agency. There might be some improvements for us, right? We were able to go out here, free up some cap space. We're always going to be able to do that. That's kind of one of the things you can do in the NFL. The cap is a lie until it's not. But for the most part, you can go out here and you can usually clear out money, move money around, and kind of just, like I said, you can make things work. You can make things work. So tackle, we do need another tackle, particularly at right tackle. Now, Jawan Taylor, we could re-sign him. We could bring in Brian O'Neill, but he will probably retire. And so that is something that we do have to be aware of. We could just, for being entirely honest, we could potentially draft a tackle, but we would have to hope a tackle in the second round is a starting quality guy for us. So what we're going to do here, it's going to be a 3-year deal for Jawan Taylor. We're going to bring him back. Or we're going to hope we can bring him back. He might just say go screw off, but I feel very confident he won't. Look around here at some edge talent. Nick Herbig, that could be interesting. But we have some other guys here that we're going to try to kind of just let develop potentially. Maybe they will develop for us. So that's not what we're going to do. What we are going to do is we're going to go for corners. And, there's some corners here that we could bring in. And we do need to improve this corner room. And we have the money to do it now, which means we have to do it now. So Carrington Valentine's the guy we're going to try to bring in. Riley Moss. The white boy. Who gets called for holding a lot because he's white. I 100% believe that's why he gets called for holding so much. But again, we could go for Garrett Williams, but we're gonna go for Carrington Valentine. We're gonna go for Riley Moss. Potentially 2 teams from the Super Bowl. We're just gonna go out here and say, you know what? We are gonna pick some pieces off of those defenses. Kind of maybe get some of our competition out of the way. Just get these guys out of the way. We could use another safety in Dane Belton. And again, we have the money now. So that means, like, right, we have money now, which means we need to make the most we can of it. And clearly it's going to be stealing players from teams that were just in the Super Bowl. We're fine at tight end, so don't have to do that. Receiver. Could we use another receiver? We'll take a look here. We probably could use one more other receiver, but I think that might be a situation for the draft. So let's go look at who we're targeting. 4 players. Let's see if we can get any of them. I'm fascinated to see if we can. And we get Carrington Valentine. We get Dane Belton. We get Jawan Taylor. We do not get Riley Moss. Everyone goes to the fucking Titans for some reason. It's very fucking annoying. Guys constantly going to the Titans for less money too. Like, you know, I know none of us want it to be where like whoever offers the most money just always gets the player. But, you know, more often than not, whoever offers the most fucking money kind of gets the player in football. These guys are playing for money. One of the more important things for them is money. So, yeah, it's very annoying that they, at times, it feels like they just refuse to do the right thing. And the right thing is signing with me. I mean, it's not, but they should. So we take a look through here. I do want another corner. And what I care about, because what I've noticed in doing these rebuilds is what really matters for these guys is this awareness and play rec rating. It really does matter a lot for them in the sim. And, you know, we'll see if Fulton wants to come back. We'll offer him a 2-year deal. And hopefully he'll come back. Keep him in with us. And he does come back. So corner room, better than what it was. We do bring in we bring back Jawan Taylor to play right tackle for us. We get Dane Belton. And that is probably going to do it for free agency for us. Again, don't want to spend up entirely. Again, is anyone still out here? John Mechie is here. 27, so kind of it's weird to say like that's a little bit too old, but it is a little bit too old. Quentin Johnson, not interesting. Parker Washington, that could be interesting. Yeah, I think we're just gonna say no to the rest of these guys. Because we are probably going to try to draft some players. So that's gonna do it for free agency. On to the draft. We do sign an extra defensive tackle. That is going to be Daquan Jones. He does not have the mentor tag, but I feel like he should eventually get the mentor tag. So we do have some younger defensive tackles. So I feel like he'll eventually get that once we get into the season. But if not, it's good to just have another defensive tackle on roster. All right, we are in the draft here, and we'll have to go take a look around here, see what we have on the board for us here. So 2nd round pick. What do we want to do? Could take a corner, and I am thinking about actually doing that. You know, we do have some corners here, but some of them are a little bit older. We did have to, you know, spend some money, and it's always good to, again, like I said, get younger players in here who can develop. And one of them could be Boo Carter. He usually ends up going in the first round with some of these mock drafts, but who knows with maybe the way some of these rosters are. Maybe that's just not the case, but D'Angelo Pons could be a guy we go after here. He has A zone coverage. The press doesn't look as good. Great speed, elite jump. D'Angelo Pons is the pick here. This is very simple. D'Angelo Pons, we're going to take rank number 15th and true value. We got him at 59. That is basically getting a first round pick. Only normal dev. That's probably the only downside to that, but I'll take it. Maybe a little undersized, but I'm very happy with that pick. We'll take D'Angelo Pons. We get another corner. We again get some more athletes on this defense, and that is pretty good. So we're going to come back here, third round now in the draft. Boo Carter does go off the board here at 67. 6'7". I'm sorry. And there is another corner here that we could take, and I think I'm going to take him. Ashton Stamps. Oh, actually, I don't know. D Playrec kind of scares me off him. He is a round 1 to 2 talent. So, I mean, if everything's telling me to just take him and just recognize that these are usually pretty accurate. We have Smith Snowden here, who I believe we did take in a draft before. We're just going to take Ashton Stamps. I mean, it says he's a round 1 talent. And we're going to see here, rank number 48 in true value. And got him at 91. Doesn't have a dev trait, normal dev. So we'll have to see what he is once we actually get into the off season, or not the off season, the start of the season. We'll see what his actual rating is. I'm not sure why they don't show us the ratings right there. I know you're trying to do like a fog of war thing, but it's kind of like I can see all the stuff, dude. Like, what are you? Like you're just gonna show it to me in like another screen. So another draft here where I did not go really with any of the edge guys. None of them really have stood out to me all that much here, but we are here late 4th round and another corner on the board. We're not going to do that though. We are just going to take one of these edge guys. This is going to be Wesley Williams out of Duke. D block shedding, but B finesse moves, C power moves. We'll take a quick look. All right, athlete, and the play rec, what's that looking like? It is at a B, so we can work on the block shedding in the future, but it is a B. I don't know why this is going so slow, and it's an all right draft pick. Hopefully we can develop him. I think that's kind of just the main goal with that, and we're going to let the CPU handle the rest of the draft. It was, I don't know. I think it was a draft. I mean, it's another draft for the future, I would feel like, right? Again, passed on receivers. Didn't take any receivers in this draft. Hopefully Chris Bell can, in his second season, step up a little bit. I don't know why these menus are going so slow. This is very odd. But D'Angelo Pons, that was clearly the right pick. 77 overall. Near the end of round 2. You'll take that every time. Ashton Stamps, 73 overall near the end of round 3. Wesley Williams, a 70 overall. Not a bad pick, honestly. And then Prince Will, not even going to try it. Not even going to try it, but young player. Is he young? He's 22. Of course he's young. It's in the fucking draft. What am I talking about? But maybe, again, another guy that maybe we can develop. Like, that's the only thing I can really say about some of these edge players. It just feels like, for the most part, the board hasn't fallen for us for the edge guys in the way we'd like, but London Humphreys, 70 overall. I appreciate the CPU nabbing him for me. 95 speed, 93 acceleration, 6'2" out of Georgia. I'll take it. And then Jaheim White out of West Virginia, running back. We did need another running back because I believe Rico Dowdle's contract comes up, and I'm probably not going to re-sign him because, unless they're like an elite running back, I am very much on the don't pay him thing. So pretty decent draft all around. I'll see you for the start of season 2. So we are here for year 2, and again, roster mostly the same. Offensive line mostly the same. Chris Bell took a big jump in training camp up to a 7.8 overall. So we are kind of expecting Chris Bell to, here in his second year, kind of be that next really good receiver for us. I think that's kind of what we're hoping he can turn into. Defensively, things are, I think they're better, right? I think we got better at corner with the additions of Carrington Valentine. Brought back Fulton, thought we were going to get Riley Moss. He decided to go sign with the Titans, but we did find D'Angelo Pons, who also had a pretty good training camp as well. I'm not showing the training camp stuff. That just kind of gets a little tedious, honestly. You know, linebacker room is great. Harold Perkins, superstar dev. Peter Woods is pretty good. And we do have some, you know, older guys here. Daquan Jones, but still pretty good. 77 overall, so as their DT2. Just have not found that second DT for us. Edge, I hope our edge guys can play well. I'm not sure why they keep doing this. I will fix this, but very annoying that they keep not actually putting Karlaftis as one of our rush ends. That's a little confusing. I know Perkins can easily do it. He has, I guess, the skill set for it. But, you know, yeah, I mean, he actually is pretty good there. So, honestly, I might just leave Perkins there, honestly, from now that I'm thinking about it. We'll just leave him there. We will put Karlaftis in the rush left end there as well, so he can, you know, get some production. But apart from that, I will see you at the midseason mark. This team is an 89 overall, 91 overall offense, 88 overall defense. You know, I think we should be good, so we'll see. All right, midseason mark of season number 2 of this rebuild. We are 5-2. You know, we're maybe doing well. I don't know. We'll take a look here. Patrick Mahomes, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. Rushing, not that great. But that's just kind of Madden with a lot of these playbooks. Chris Bell playing well, 494 yards, 4 touchdowns. So, is starting to step up a little bit here, but honestly, not too crazy of an offensive season so far. Defensively, though, how are we doing? 3.5 sacks for Harold Perkins, 3.5 for Ashton Galante, 3.5 for Daquan Jones, 3.5 for George Karlaftis. Peter Woods, only 2 so far this year. Leo Chanel with 1, and a couple half. Then a lot of, I don't know if it's a lot, but a decent amount of interceptions so far through the season. So, like, almost 1 a game. So, we're doing well. Not going to make any moves here at the deadline. I don't think we really need to make any. So I will see you. Hopefully we make the playoffs. We should, but we'll see. So we do make the playoffs. We finished the season 14-3. That is good enough to actually get us the number 1 seed in the AFC. We got to bye. Got to go through Chiefs Kingdom if you want to come out of the AFC this year. And, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, 35 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Maybe not crazy numbers, but Rico Dowdle ends up getting 1,000 yards there. So, pretty good stuff right there. And, you know, I put Chris Bell in the slot to get him some production. Maybe that kind of lowered our offensive production a little bit. But also, it helped develop Chris Bell, which I think that's a pretty good thing. Xavier Worthy, 4 touchdowns on the season. 6 for Rashee Rice, but 16 for Chris Bell. Kenyon Sadiq, pretty good season as well. Kind of not going as crazy as Kelce did, but not too many players can. So a little bit of a step back of a year for Peter Woods, but George Karlaftis, 7.5 sacks, 7 for Harold Perkins. Peter Woods was 7. A more, how do I say this? I think a more of a team effort when it came to getting sacks, it appears, this year, as opposed to what it was last year when it was honestly mostly Peter Woods getting those sacks. But Nick Bolton, 3 interceptions, 2 for McDuffie, 2 for Dane Belton, 2 for Brian Cook, Carrington Valentine, and Drake Bowen getting an interception as well. So lots of turnovers. Looking pretty good right there. We are going to do our weekly strategy, of course. I'll let the CPU handle and pick what all that it wants. And we are going to hop in to this AFC divisional round matchup. Do these upgrades real quick. I'm going to try not to jump in whatsoever. I really would rather not jump in and do anything to help. We're going to see if this Chiefs team is good enough to do it themselves. So I'll see you in there. All right, we are here. AFC divisional round, and we are able to take care of it. 21-13. We do beat the Chargers, and we are moving on to an AFC Championship game. So the Chiefs are basically back to where they were prior to this most recent season. All right, AFC Championship game taking on the Denver Broncos. AFC West battle to see who goes to the Super Bowl. I'm sure the Broncos would like to get back and try to avenge that loss they had last season. We would like to keep them from doing that. So let's see if we can do that. All right, we are here. AFC Championship game up 21-10. Feels like now's the time to kind of start seeing here. They're going for it on 4th down. So we are going to come in here and play this possession. We are going to predict a pass play. They are keeping 2 running backs in. Neither to block. We do get some pressure, and that's going to be picked off by Belton, the free agent signing that we got from the Giants. There we go. Right there. Very nice. And that should do it right there. That should be enough to close this thing out. Up 14. Just going to let him keep doing it. Going to get out of here. We are going back to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes heading back to the promised land. A little bit of time away, but a couple decent drafts, some free agency, and the Chiefs are right back to where a lot of people think they should be. All right, back at the Super Bowl, we are taking on the Seahawks, 14-3. We look pretty much way better than them, so I think this should be a pretty easy Super Bowl win. You never know what could happen once you get there, but a little interesting to see how the sim engine has evolved throughout the weeks here in real life, because normally I don't think I've ever really recalled seeing the Seahawks in the Super Bowl in any of my previous rebuilds, but they are in this one, and we have to go beat them. All right, we have simulated here, and we are in an opportunity to pretty much shut this game out. Seahawks trailing 21-0 here. They just seemingly have not been able to get their offense going, and we're going to try to get an interception here to close this thing out. That's going to be picked off. It's McDuffie picking it off, and we're going to see if we can take this thing back to the house. Tried cutting it back inside, could not get it, but McDuffie right there. Darnold throwing one up, trying to make something happen, but McDuffie comes down with the interception, and I am going to call it right there, and that is going to be it. We shut out the Seahawks, and yet again, the Kansas City Chiefs are champions. 21-0. We beat the Seahawks here. Another ring for Mahomes, and we got 2 more seasons to get some more, so let's see if we can do it. Only a couple retirements for us. One of them is Daquan Jones, so he decided to come, chase a ring, got one, and is getting out of here. Damian Pierce is going to retire, and Jacob Saylor's also going to retire. Almost threw up right there. So we are here off season after another successful season, winning a championship. What are we going to do? Well, you already know what I'm going to do here. This is what the Chiefs, this is what good teams do in real life, honestly. We got to restructure some of these contracts. We need to create some cap space. Create Humphreys. We can't restructure. Can we restructure Mahomes? We can. That opens up a little bit more space. We're just finding deals where we can restructure. I mean, who can we kick down the road? Some of these other guys that we've re-signed, we can do that. Karlaftis, we can restructure that deal a little bit. Again, this is what teams do in real life. This is even Carrington Valentine. We're going to restructure that. Any little bit helps. So that gets us to $37 million in cap space. Nick Bolton, we want to keep him around, offer a little bit more money. He is going to come back. So that's a core piece that we got to keep. Kingsley Suamataia, I think 3 years. He's willing to resign. So again, these are just core pieces that we got to resign, right? There's no one way around it. These are guys that have to be back. Those are 2 pieces that are just too important. Jaden Hicks, we do have Dane Belton right there, and so we're probably going to let him walk. We're going to let Jaden Hicks walk. He is younger, but we're going to let him walk. Noah Gray, we're going to let walk. Jared Wiley, we're going to let walk. Cooper McDonald, we're going to let walk. All these guys here, we're going to let walk. There's really no reason for us to be bringing these guys back. We're going to go into the offseason with around $14.5 million in cap space. Do we need to do anything? No, not really. We are basically fine again, when we had the money last season, we kind of signed the guys that we needed to sign. Would it be fun to go out here and get another really good edge player? Would I like to do that? Yeah, I would, but we don't have the money to do it. We are going to need some new tight ends. Pause. But they're going to have to be cheap, and they can't be expensive, and they can't expect a lot of money. So, if we could find someone a little bit cheaper here, I mean, these guys want $8 million a year. I'm thinking someone that's for 4. Like, who wants $4 million a year? And if I can't find those guys, that's fine. But we want some cheap players. I know that, again, just because the way the sim engine works, it almost really doesn't matter who your backup tight end is, just because those guys kind of just don't get any kind of production whatsoever. So if I'm being honest, it really doesn't matter. Would I like to find another real edge player? Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be great, but these guys want way too much money. Trey Hendrickson, that'd be almost greedy, but yeah, not gonna happen. Wants too much money. Defensive tackle, we could use some help at defensive tackle, I believe. I would like to find someone else that just kind of come in, but I think we have a couple young guys there who have developed a little bit. So I think it's a situation where we're probably not going to do that. We're just going to stick with the guys we have and kind of just call it right there. So again, free safety, we're fine at safety. We're fine at strong safety. We don't need any more receivers. We're good at running back, maybe a backup quarterback, but apart from that, not really thinking about it that much. I'm sure the CP will draft us one, so we're gonna get into the draft. That's kind of just what we're gonna do. Not gonna do anything in free agency. Don't need to. All right, we are here for the 2028 draft. This is the last draft that I have that does have a real draft class, and we are going to, again, I've been talking about taking an edge rusher for the past couple draft classes, and looks like one has maybe fallen to us here. Isaiah Gibson out of Georgia. Looks pretty good, honestly, so I think this is going to be the pick here. Again, potentially might need to make some moves here after this upcoming season, so this might be a situation where we're drafting guys who may potentially replace some people currently on the team, right? Like, this is a situation, again, this is what the Chiefs are going to have to go through this upcoming year, I think, where to keep a run going, you're going to have to maybe start trading guys around. That's why we drafted all those cornerbacks last season, because some of our other corners are probably going to start to, come up for, payments and things like that, new deals. Well, maybe we're not going to actually do that. So we come back again, another edge player here, Quintavious Johnson, also out of Georgia. Going to take him too. Want to keep this edge room good. And again, we find another potentially really good edge player. So that could, again, it could allow George Karlaftis to be a guy that we could move if we need to, right? I think that's kind of something that I'm thinking about moving forward, right? Good block shedding, good play rec. Quintavious Johnson should be a really good player here. So back-to-back edge players, I think, again, these edge positions, they're up for grabs for us, I think, honestly. It's not like anyone has particularly stood out as all that good, if I'm being honest. Like, no one's wow, that's a guy who you just gotta play. And so I did a lot of work here for this draft class. I didn't make this draft class. I did a lot of work in kind of looking around scouting. We found a tight end here who looks pretty good. A, catching traffic, A, catching, A, deep route, C, run block. Solid enough physicals, good enough. Mason Williams, we are going to take him. Pretty decent pick, honestly. Nothing special, just a decent player, I think. And so we come here to round number 4. Again, when you go through and you kind of do a little bit of homework on these draft classes, and also because I've used them a couple times now, you kind of do know how these things are. And yeah, so looking through here, still more edge players, some defensive tackles that I found that really didn't look all that good. And so we're here, 4th round. Do you take a quarterback? I don't think you take a quarterback right now, because we do need a backup quarterback. That is for sure, but we'll take a look around here. Any decent running backs that we like? Jordan Marshall, he is a power back. Take a look here. What's his stuff looking like? Everything just looks solid. 4.47. Could use another running back. We are going to take Jordan Marshall here. And number 78 in True Valley, got him at 128. Decent enough. 90 speed, not bad. Change of direction is 86. It's pretty good, honestly. So 5th round pick here. And this one is... what are we going to do with this one? Well, take a look around. Look at the top of the draft. See who's still there. Jacoby Barner is here, wide receiver. And doesn't look all that good, if I'm being honest. Did run a 4.31, so great speed. We'll take him just because we have an opportunity to kind of just build him up. Rick, 139, 93 speed, 6 foot, out of Nebraska. Not going to play much his rookie year, but going to let the CPU handle the rest of this draft class. And we're going to take a look here at it before we get into year number 3 here. So I think we've done a pretty good job putting this team back together, back to being a Super Bowl contender. And Isaiah Gibson, 72, 74 overall players here. At the end of all of these rounds, again, kind of back to where this team was before, but honestly, some pretty good picks here. Terry Bussey. Getting some Bussey in the Chiefs locker room here. Does any of these guys have dev traits or hidden dev? Doesn't look like it. But Jaylen Brown out of Arkansas does not have it. Again, we are going to need some receivers because potentially we're not going to be able to re-sign some of these guys here coming up. So going to have to do a lot of work with some of these guys to make them usable. Again, kind of what the Chiefs have kind of gotten. Again, it's not too dissimilar from real life, but I do like the 2 edge rushers we got, actually, to get both of these guys here. Isaiah Gibson, 74 overall, block shedding. Again, these are all because of the team morale, but these guys look pretty good, honestly. So I think we may have solved our edge problem. I know it's not necessarily a problem, but we definitely got some guys in here who look really good, and again, make some other guys who are going to be coming up for contracts a little bit expendable. And, that's always a good thing to do. All right, so here's the team for year number 3 of this team. And again, for the most part, it's mostly the same team. Offensive line has been pretty constant for this entire rebuild. Wide receiver room has been very constant for this rebuild. Some younger players here, but again, right now, the stars of the show are Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and Chris Bell. Still have Patrick Mahomes. Rico Dowdle's still here. And then defensively, I think we're in a pretty good spot. Defensive line, pretty good. Our linebacker room is top-notch. Corner room is really good. Pons is definitely coming along pretty well for us. So this all looks pretty good, honestly. Specialist-wise, our edge rushers, Harold Perkins still going to be in here, but he is not going to be starting for us, actually. We are not going to be doing that. And we will get George Karlaftis in here. Again, always have to do that, but Johnson and Gibson, the rookies that we drafted, both look really good. Both look like they are going to be very good players for us, if I'm being honest. So really excited for that. I think this team is definitely might be the best team we've put together so far. So I'll see you at the midseason mark, see how we're doing, and just see how our rookies are doing as well. All right, midseason mark, and we are 6-0, looking pretty good here. Going to do this weekly strategy. And for weekly strategy, what I do throughout the season is I mostly, especially when we do these big simulations like that, I just set it to make sure that my guys are getting a lot of training XP. So that's what we do. We also are going to do a little bit of scouting buff as well. So if you ever wondered why I do that, get that extra scouting, also still get that XP for those guys as well. Since I'm not playing the games, I don't need those to be set to anything other than, well, the XP for the players. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but we're going to go through here now. Look at these upgrades, see if anyone's doing anything, any crazy, anyone have like a bunch of upgrades. A lot of guys with just one upgrade needed, so auto upgrade that. So we are 92 overall, 93 offense, 91 defense. Defense not really moving too much in terms of the overall. Patrick Mahomes, 12 touchdowns on the season, 0 interceptions. Rico Dowdle playing all right for us. Receiving, Chris Bell with 1. And really a lot of this is just Rashee Rice. So kind of going off here. But Kenyon Sadiq kind of just has not done a lot in the sim. I do wonder how much of that is just kind of related to the playbook. Take a look here at the defense. Leo Chanel, 3 sacks. Omar Norman Lott with 3 sacks. He's actually progressed pretty well for us. And no one going crazy with sacks. So, not sure what that's all about, but a lot of, 6 interceptions on the season so far. So again, kind of averaging like, at the very least, 1 takeaway a game so far. So, looking pretty good so far. Not going to make any real moves or any changes like that. Just going to be on to the playoffs and just kind of see how we do here. All right, another successful season here, 15-2. Going to take a quick look at the stats and awards. Patrick Mahomes, 4,400, almost 4,500 yards, 40 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Rico Dowdle, almost to 1,000 yards. So this has been an interesting kind of using the Rams playbook here, but it's been interesting. We have had better success with running backs in terms of yardage. Rashee Rice, 1,500 yards. Chris Bell, 1,000 yards. Xavier Worthy, almost 1,000 yards. Kenyon Sadiq, 550 yards. We have not kind of been able to repeat any of the success that like Travis Kelce had, but Kenyon Sadiq has been very solid for this Chiefs team, honestly. So you do like seeing that. Chris Bell, let's see what this defense did, because we didn't see too much sack production to be turn it up, and we did actually. Quintavious Johnson, our rookie, 8 sacks on the year. Leo Chanel with 6.5, Nick Bolton with 5.5, Peter Woods with 5. Like he had that one insane rookie year and just kind of nothing since. But Omar Norman Lott has definitely come along pretty well for us, and Harold Perkins Jr. a little less on the sacks this year, but that's because I think we have more true edge guys to kind of run that, and also a ton of turnovers. So you always like seeing that as well. So things looking pretty good. They're going to take on the Chargers here, and again, play the moments, get through it as least as I can, and see if we can move on to another AFC Championship. All right, we are here, AFC divisional round here. We have an opportunity to basically end this game right here versus the Chargers. We do have a slight lead, 2:41 left in the game. Trying to get some pressure here. He's going to throw this one up, and that is going to be intercepted by Dane Belton, who just keeps making big plays. So we're going to hope the CPU can kind of hold on to it, and they can't. So come back in for one hopefully final play. I got switch stick there, and that is going to be incomplete. Chargers, they have one more timeout, but shouldn't matter. We are moving on to the AFC Championship game as we beat the Chargers 22-19 in this one. Oh, as I was going to say something really cool. I was going to say, how the times change, how things keep changing, but sometimes the faces all stay the same. Well, Bengals Chiefs AFC Championship game. I'm pretty sure the Bengals technically are the last team to have beaten the Chiefs in an AFC Championship game. So can they do it again? Well, let's go find out. All right, AFC Championship game basically on the line here. I think a stop here should pretty much end this game. So we're going to try to get some pressure here on Burrow. That's almost intercepted. It's knocked down. So 28-14 here, and that's going to be your final. And either way, the Bengals will lose a big game in the playoffs, and the Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl yet again, back-to-back years. Boy, we just keep running into old faces here. Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl here. One more time. The Eagles look like they come in a little bit weaker here than this Chiefs squad, who finished the season at 15-2. Eagles go 10-7. We'll take a look here real quick at their kind of run to the playoffs. And yeah, they We're not a top seed, but they did take out the top seeded Packers 21-16. So, again, can we get, now that's the Chiefs looking to get some payback, looking to get some revenge on that most recent Super Bowl loss, can we put it to Jalen Hurts and this Eagles squad? Well, let's go find out. All right, we are here in the Super Bowl. We are leading 28-10 here. Kind of just a bit of a runaway game, but we are back in here now with an opportunity to close out this Eagles squad and Jalen Hurts here. Deny them another Super Bowl. Gonna get some pressure here. That is gonna be picked off. Leo Chenal picks it off. Can't take it back because you can't really run back interceptions too often, Madden, it feels like. But that is a big interception here, and that should do it. They're going to go for it again here. 4th and 5. So we're going to try to get back into here and try to get some pressure here. Jalen Hurts, I mean, probably not going to be able to do much anyways. They do pick up the first down, though. Keep the chains moving. Call a timeout. And doesn't matter. They don't score. Once again, another new dynasty run here for the Chiefs. 16-2, 28-10. They defeat the Eagles. They avenge a Super Bowl loss here. And now can we go for the three-peat here? Can we make a three-peat happen? Let's go find out. Okay, so we do not have money to... We've kicked the can down the road as much as we possibly can at this point. And so, again, we don't really have any way to bring a lot of these guys back. Christian Fulton, we can bring back for 1 year just to, we keep some guys around. We can't bring back Xavier Worthy, not going to happen. Ashton Galante, not going to be brought back. Brian Cook, also not going to be brought back. Rico Dowdle, not going to be brought back. Norman Lott, not going to be brought back. There's a lot of guys not going to be brought back. Just don't have the money to do it. Out of cash. I mean, we can't even bring back our kicker and or punter. That should let you know kind of the position we're in. We can't even bring these guys back. And Harrison Butker not going to be back. So we'll have to find some kickers and punters, but I probably won't show you that because that really doesn't matter that much. But, gonna have to let some guys walk. That's the way it goes. We're just kick the can down the road long enough. We re-signed just enough players that we needed to re-sign, I think, to make a real go at this three-peat here. That's kind of all that matters for us. Massive free agent signings here. Not really. We brought in Cameron Dicker and Daniel Whelan, two kickers who look like they could be brothers. I don't say that just because they're both white, but they do kind of look really similar, honestly. Yeah, they could be brothers or cousins or something. But we bring in a kicker and a punter who look like they could be brothers. And that's going to do it for free agency. We have nothing else to do. We have no money. That's the way it goes. All right, we are in the draft here. This is the first fictional draft that we have had so far. And, gonna take a look. We do need another receiver, I think, just, to make things kind of... We did lose a player. And we're going to look at the combine real quick as time is ticking down here. And 4.52, that just feels a little too slow for me, but 4.43, that looks a little bit better. His route running isn't as good, so I think we're just going to go with Sean Barrett here. Release is only a D, but number 7 in true value, and he has hidden dev, so what the hell do I know? He looks like a good player, so yeah, I guess I don't know anything. I guess I'm just a moron. I am sitting here in a room talking to myself while playing Madden. So, all things considered, I guess I can't be too upset at that, coming away with that conclusion of things. We'll take a look around here, see what else we want, and there's another good defensive. Again, always remember with these Madden-generated draft classes, there's always good defensive tackles. We are going to find one here. 6'6", 335 out of Clemson. Number 17 in true value. We get him at, well, it's pick 64. And yeah, looks like a monster. And yeah, what else is there to say? He just looks like an absolute freak. So that is really nice right there. Still looking around here. Trying to see what we want to find, and some more wide receivers, but we don't really need any more wide receivers. But this draft class was chocked full of receivers. Like all of the states or regions for prospects were like, yeah, we got receivers, which is okay, I suppose. None of these safeties look good. I feel like so many of these a lot of times the safety classes are, I feel like, never good. Looks like a bad corner class. Maybe there's a good tight end. I feel like anytime I'm struggling to find a good player, I feel like I always find like a decent enough tight end. We don't need any more tight ends, honestly. So maybe we can find like a decent running back. No. So not really sure what to do here. Might just honestly take just another wide receiver. Take a look here at their combine. Who ran the best 40 time out of these guys? And it's going to go to the guy with the 4.46. His catching traffic's terrible, but he is faster. So there is that. 91 speed. So just going to let the CPU handle the rest of this. We are going to get through this final season pretty quickly. Wasn't a big free agency thing just because we didn't have any money. And this team is pretty maxed out again. Chiefs, we have kind of reached that point that the Chiefs kind of reached in real life where you've kind of maybe, again, maxed out the roster, maxed out your cap. But Sean Barrett, 78 overall. I was kind of poo-pooing that pick, but he looks pretty good, honestly. So, again, able to find a replacement to players that left. We weren't able to bring back a defensive tackle. We just go and find another one, a 77 overall defensive tackle. So we just find another one late in the draft. Jeff Bennett, a 71 overall, is pretty good as well, but everything else is really bleh. So let's get into the final season here of this rebuild. So final year of the rebuild, not going to do any sort of drafting or anything like that. This is it. This is the final year of the rebuild. This has been a pretty quick rebuild video, if I'm being honest. We have flown through this, but I'm going to take one final look here before we get into this final year here with this team. Again, like I said before, like I've said to sort of almost all of these, this team is mostly the same. We have a lot of young receivers here, so that's really the different thing. Rashee Rice, we got Chris Bell, and then all these young guys that we are going to try to rely on here. We have Jaheim White, who we drafted a few years ago, has progressed pretty well for us, so I now think he's ready to kind of be a starting running back for us. Offensive line, basically the same. Kenyon Sadiq has developed pretty nicely into an 86. See Mahomes starting to regress a little bit. Defensively, I think we're pretty good here, honestly. Again, defense looks great. We have some pretty good safeties here. I'm not sure when we signed Cisco. I think they just gave us Cisco. I'll keep it. I'm not going to be one of those people like, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'll keep it. You want to hand me that? Cool. I'll have Andre Cisco and Xavier Woods on this team. Safety room looks pretty good. Defensive tackles look great. Peter Woods has progressed for us well. This rookie that we drafted looks really good. We have some pretty good edge rushers here. I don't think Perkins will have to play any edge for us. I'm not sure why the game is so obsessed with having him play edge for us, but I will go through and make sure that doesn't happen again. But either way, final year of this rebuild, we're going to go right into it. I'll see you at the playoffs. So here we are, 14-3. No bye, because we must have lost the game to the Chargers. So 14-3, take a quick look here at the stats and awards. Patrick Mahomes, 42 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, 4,500 yards. Jaheim White had a good year, 932 yards rushing, almost 1,000 yards in his first year as a starter. Very nice stuff there. And then Rashee Rice went great. Sean Barrett, rookie receiver for us, 1,000 yards receiving, 11 touchdowns in his rookie year. Chris Bell had a great year again. And Mason Williams with a touchdown catch. Kenyon Sadiq with 5. It's probably his best season as a receiver for us, so that's You always like seeing that. And then defensively, how did we do? Peter Woods turned it back on here, kind of finding his kind of rookie form. 13.5 sacks on the year for him. Karlaftis 8.5, Isaiah Gibson 7.5, Trent Shaw, the rookie, with 6, Harold Perkins with 5.5, Leo Chenal with 5, Nick Bolton, Quintavious Johnson with 2, and yeah, pretty good stuff right there, actually. A lot of sack production, and then a ton of interception production from this team right here. So, love seeing it. We're going to quickly simulate this Dolphins game. See if we can win it. Let's simulate this right here. Hear my cat crying. There we go. We do win 28-21. And then we get to take on the Bengals yet again. I almost feel like we are probably sick of kicking the Bengals' ass in these games. But I have to go see what the hell my cat's doing real quick. She was trying to lick some oil. So, AFC divisional round here. Let's advance. I almost thought it was the AFC Championship game, but divisional round of the playoffs. Let's advance. Let's see. Can we beat the Bengals? And we do. We are a 95 overall team here. And yeah, so super good stuff right there. Beat the Bengals. Let's go in here, beat the Chargers, and let's just move on. I love my phone going off. Some more upgrades here real quick. And a bunch of upgrades, actually. Ton of upgrades. 95 overall here. We're going to take on the Chargers. AFC Championship game. We play at SoFi. And sadly, we all know in real life, this would probably feel like a Chiefs home game because these LA teams have no fan bases. But let's go in here and beat them anyways. We should dominate this team. So we are here, AFC Championship game. We are just going to let the CPU handle all of this for us. Don't even need to really jump in. Just blow out the Chargers, 24-6. Going to our third straight Super Bowl here. What is this, like Patrick Mahomes, like the 8th? I don't know. It's hard to keep up at this point, but I feel like we've beaten the Chargers a lot in the playoffs. Here we go, Super Bowl in Minneapolis, taking on the Cardinals, 11-6. We are way better than them. This really shouldn't be too hard, so let's go see. All right, pretty close Super Bowl, actually, and 3rd and 21 for this Cardinals team. And who is that at quarterback? Don't tell me. Dylan Raiola. We keep closing out these rebuilds in really cool, interesting ways, honestly. I swear we do. Dylan Raiola versus Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, the final bit of this rebuild here. And we are in position here to try to close this thing out. They are in position now to at least tie it up, at the very least. I mean, he even has wearing number 15 and fumbles the football, and it's going to be picked up here by Peter Woods. Are you kidding me? Peter Woods jumps on the football here to potentially, on a Dylan Raiola fumble in the Super Bowl, to close it out. So they get one more shot here. They have to go the length of the field to tie this thing up. Peter Woods, can he get some pressure here? Pressure here on Raiola again. He's going to get sacked. It's by Karlaftis, and I believe that is Isaiah Gibson, one of our edge rushers that we drafted previously here. So we're going to come back in here again. Raiola going to find, I believe that's Michael Wilson. He always really sticks around with this team. And we are just going to try to get some more pressure here. Try to get a sack here. They are taking way too... They have a timeout. I'm not sure they're not using it, but here going to try to get some pressure. Here, Gibson going to get there. 4th and inches. We do stop them just short here, but again, I don't know why they're not calling their timeout. This is a situation where you would call this. He's making adjustments. They're taking way too much time here. Raiola going to gets the ball off, but it's incomplete, and that's going to do it. Patrick Mahomes finally gets the three-peat, and he does it against his clone, Dylan Raiola. Absolutely insane there. We beat the Cardinals. A three-peat, finally. We close it out with a three-peat. This is probably the easiest rebuild I've had to do so far. yeah, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you have Patrick Mahomes in his prime, but absolutely hilarious that we do it against Dylan Raiola and the Cardinals. Well, not the Cardinals part, but the Dylan Raiola part. That's funny, honestly. I have yet to have the opportunity to actually do a rebuild where we draft Dylan Raiola. Just haven't been in position to do that yet. But another successful rebuild in the tank here. We are negative $53 million. That's why the rebuild is ending right here, actually, because you see Mahomes there now really beginning to regress. I don't like that, honestly. It's so tough. Chris Jones retires. But yeah, Mahomes still playing up with morale, but he is down to a 91 overall, and you see the regression really starting to hit here. And again, I don't understand, maybe things like throw on the run I understand, but like accuracy ratings regressing, I'm not a big fan of that. Throw power, I kind of get a little bit, but at the same time, I just feel like those type of things shouldn't, like accuracy things really shouldn't regress that much. If it was more of the secondary physical traits, if those things were regressing, I would totally understand that more, but I feel like Mahomes at 34, probably physically, maybe speed, change of direction, things like that. Should those things regress? 100%. But that is going to do it here for this rebuild. We end up with this team at a 95 overall across the board. Offensive line basically stuck together the entire time. No changes to it. Defensively, this team is still, really, really good. Not sure what's going to happen as it gets, in a situation where, with the cap, that's going to be really tough here. Some tough choices to be made moving forward. Probably going to have to trade guys like Carl Loftus. Some of these linebackers are probably going to have to go and try to rebuild the linebacker rooms. That's probably something that's going to, have to be done. But we were able to kind of keep a lot of the core together and complete the rebuild. So thanks for watching.